Wee, what's going on YouTube? It's Donnie B all... What? Donnie B all day got in a military combat knife. That's right, the dbad designed MCK. It is finally here from Croco Knives. It took so long because his other box guy flaked out, so he needed to get a new box guy. And he got a new box guy, and here it is. Handmade. My man Usman. Whoo boy. Now if y'all remember, the first one they did, the dbad Menace, numbered to 50. Remember, there's only 50 of these that were numbered. You can buy 1,000 of them, it doesn't matter. But there's 50 numbered. This thing went off real well. This thing has gotten a lot of praise. The people that have bought one are absolutely loving this, which makes me feel really good. I mean, really good. What else makes me feel really good? Da, 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 da. Check that out, man. I am so pumped. So I gave Usman the freedom on the sheath. I said, listen, man. I told him what color I want. I said, I just want a really nice sheath, something cool, something really good. The last one he made looked, well, a lot like this. And it's really cool. This is right up my alley. I love this. Whoa, this thing is so nice. It's very Rambo-esque. And he said, well, dbad wants a military knife. Let's give him a military sheath. This kicks ass. This sheath is beautiful. You have your pouch so you can put a sharpening stone. You can shove some other gear in there. It doesn't matter. It's just freaking beautiful, man. So I'm pretty stoked about that. This thing is really, really nice. But, oh, wait, that's not it. That's right. I just put it down. Da 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 da. Oh, look at these scales, man. It's hard to tell in the light, but they're green and black, and they look fantastic. Look at this knife. Completely handmade. And guess what? There's a mistake on this knife, and this mistake could be very good for the buyers. And people are going to say, how is a mistake good? Well, here's the deal. Only 50 of these go out numbered. That's it, 50. There's going to be 50 that have, right here, that mine's 001, because it's mine, and then there'll be 002 and 003, all the way to 50. And then any after 50, same knife, just not numbered. Here's where something got screwed up. Now, Usman goes through every process of the knife making with me. He sends me pictures. He says, this is what we got going. This is where we're at. And every process that has to be done, he okays with me. So when he sent me the print on the inside of the fuller on the other side, which I'm going to show you in a second, it said military combat knife the way it was supposed to. I read it. I looked at it. Everything was perfect. I said, okay. Somehow, when all the lettering got moved from there to the printing, one of the words, the letters got jumbled. And when they printed it, they didn't recognize that it got jumbled really quick because they're looking quick. So now it says military combat knife. And so you'd be thinking, oh no, that sucks. That's a bad thing. I mean, is it? This is a 1 through 50 knife, right? So it's already rare. To have a knife with a fault makes it even more rare. So I'm not sure if this was the only one that happened on. I'm not sure if it's the first 50 or part of the first 50. He hasn't gone through it. He's going to let me know. But there could be some coming that say kniff instead of knife, which means it's going to be really rare to have one with something like that. Now, does it change the knife at all? No, it's just a print, so it really doesn't matter. What it does do, if you have one that has a misprint, then it just ups the value for collectors later on. And you say, well, what's the value? Like, how is it valuable? The dbad knife line of designs, no matter who it's made for, is growing. It's growing very big. And I was recently reached out to by a publication which could send things to a whole new level. There are people out there that want to really go over dbad knives in a way where the whole world will see it. And I think that's pretty awesome. That means my designs are catching some eyes of some very big people. And it's just, think about Gil Hibben, his first knives that he did. none of them were perfect, but they're worth more now than his later years perfect knives, right? And it's because eventually he grew in, and my designs have now started to grow in to the knife world, and I am absolutely stoked. So if anyone gets a numbered piece, you're lucky enough just to get a 1 through 50, because only 50 people in the entire world ever will have something 1 through 50 in this knife. How many will say kniff? I don't know, but it's pretty exciting to think about it, because that's super rare. Do knife companies send out blemishes all the time? Yeah, absolutely. I had one before where the brand actually was spelt wrong. And they bought it back from me, and I thought that was really cool because they paid more than I did. But you won't be having to worry about that. These, if somebody wants one, somebody's going to say, dude, you have one of the freaky numbered ones. I want that. And I'm pretty stoked about that. Now let's go over this handmade beauty. Remember, this thing is 100% handmade. The owner of Croco Knives went to school in England. He did all his school, got his degrees, everything. This guy is a very, very good knife maker. And he just knows how to put a knife together. So we have two forms of jimping. We have your standard jimping, and this is really light jimping here. It's actually amazingly comfortable because it's really tight and really small, right? And then you have this jimping right here. Now this is more of a pinch jimp, right? It's not like your sawback jimping. And I know with the Geneva Convention, they say, and it's really pretty much only anybody who's with NATO. Anybody else can have whatever they want. But, you know, so all the bad guys can have things like that. But serrations, and this is not pinch jimping, it's pinch serrations. And it's where the ends almost close in on each other. So it's not like this, where most serrations are. It's more like this. And what it does is it gives you a good thing where you can weave material for rope making. You can do notches, and it's good for wire twisting, things like that. So pinch serrations actually have a pretty good purpose. And it also improves wound channeling, especially go in and turn, you come out, any one of these ridges going either way, not just in or out. And it's not, and I've heard people say, oh, serrations get caught, so you can't get it. I'll tell you what, stab a pig. Get yourself a slab of already dead pig and stab something with serrations. You're not going to have problems getting it out. I guarantee you. If you do, then you are one very weak individual. But no, they do not. But it does a lot of really good things. In bushcrafting, these kind of serrations, especially because they close in, are great for debarking and starting fluff and things like that. They are great for that. So it actually gives you a multi-purpose serration. It's not just a typical saw, and it's not just a cutting serration. It's multiple uses, which I really wanted. I wanted a nice wide blade because of trenching. Now, this is the military combat knife designed by me, which means it's everything I wanted in a combat knife, everything that I think would be necessary and perfect and all that. And it covers all the boxes. It covers all the boxes. The fullers are there. I know a lot of people think they're blood grooves and it's going to help for suction and all that. Not true. It's not really going to make that much of a difference. What it does is carves out weight so I could get my mean in there. So I needed to make it to reach a point on both sides and a depth on both sides to where it takes out just the right amount of material without taking out too much and without having not enough taken out. So it makes the balance on this knife superior. The guard is a half guard. It's built in with true full tang. So you always have that extra protection right there so your hand doesn't slide up and it doesn't slide back because of the bill in the rear. You also have not just a choil, but a full working choil that feels really good. We are talking about D2 steel at 5.5 millimeters thick, so it's got enough girth in there to be able to handle pretty much anything. You have a double-edged blade. This is a drop point, not a spear point. You'll see that the points are different, but this is nice and sharp. This is really nice and sharp. So you can have a trenching tool, so you can dig and you can pry out things like landmines and things like that. If anybody's ever done any kind of work with explosives, you know that's a pretty good thing to have. It's great in the reverse grip and the foregrip. It's great in the choked up reverse grip and the choked up foregrip. It just feels good all the way around. The blade size is perfect. It's 7.5 inches long in the blade. We are looking at 12.25 inches long overall. The Rockwell is 58 to 60 on this. It is micarta in the handle. And let's see what my inner grip was, because I don't remember all my details. We are looking at an inner grip of around 4, just a little over. And I designed it so it would be good to, on large hands, be able to get all your hand in there. So this in here to here is going to be 4, and then it spreads out. That's why I said 4 a little more. So it actually opens up to about 4.25, I want to say right there, where the meat of your pinky is going to meet with that. So it's just about 4.125. So you have great real estate, but I didn't want to go too crazy with the length on the inside of the grip, because I wanted it to still be a grip to where it's not going to shift in the hand in or out. That was very important to me. So I measured it for my hand, and then I shrunk it by 1/8 of an inch of where it would be perfect for just about anybody. And I gotta say, man, this thing feels amazing. This is going to be a very fun knife to get out and play with. All week we have rain right now, and that sucks because I have so many things to go over. But we're going to do part 2 of this real soon. And even if it's raining, I just want to get outside with it. We're going to take it outside anyway. This thing is just built. You'll notice the depth difference from here to here. This is a bigger depth than this. That means you have a strong full grip. The problem with a lot of military combat knives, or people who make them, they make this area the smallest area. For some reason, they shrink that to about 1 inch and sometimes even less. Way too dinky for a normal hand. Way too small, which doesn't make sense. And then some people make this area really fat. Your hand closes like this, right? The smallest area of the grip, sorry, the middle finger, is in your pinky. So why would you do a reverse to where your smallest is going to be in the forefinger and the biggest is on the pinky? That's the opposite of how the human body works. I never understand why people do that. My Prather War buoy, I love it, but it's the same way. You have a little dinky front of the grip with a nice wide rear of the grip. I don't understand why people do that. And I know if you're not going to have contouring or anything to catch at the end, it's good to have a knife that does that, because you don't want your hand sliding off. But at some point you have to realize that there's such thing as too small in the front of a grip. This is not that. This grip is made to hold. You'll notice all the scalloping here. No matter who you are, no matter what size hand you have, your hands are going to fit somewhere in that scalloping. It's going to grab onto the meat of your grip and just really hold on. So I got to say, I'm really, really stoked with this knife. It feels amazing. Everything I wanted it to be, it is. You put this thing in your hand and you're like, damn. And the fact that you can get a numbered piece 1 through 50 and possibly something spelled wrong, possibly, I don't know yet, but there you might be able to get one like that. Just having the 1 through 50 is perfect. Now you'll notice there is one lift right here. So you see that? That's the only area where the spine to handle changes, and that's so when you're in a choke down grip, you have just a little bit of area to put your thumb. When you're in a foregrip, that webbing of your thumb sits right there, and then the blade is going to come out and up, and it's made for a perfect handhold. There's designing a knife, and then there's designing a knife. You don't just design part of it. You have to design every single piece. How is it going to fit where, and how is it going to benefit where it's fitting? The exposed tang at the end of the pommel, good for hammer action, good for head strikes, things like that. You do have a lanyard hole. This thing is literally everything I would want my combat knife to be. Everything. So if I'm literally in the field and this is what I'm allowed to bring. This is what I'm going to bring. And that's just it. So people always ask me, what knife would you bring if you got sent back to Afghanistan or you got sent back to combat? This would be it. I designed this specifically to be the knife that I would have with me at any cost. I don't care about Geneva Convention. They talk about, oh, you can't have this on there because it can create bad wounds. That's the point. The bad guys don't care. If the bad guys don't care, I don't care. So that's it. Here's your dbad military combat kniff. 1 through 50. It's on the website right now. I'm going to add the link down below. This is just part 1. I knew I had to talk about it, so I didn't want to do this and then go outside and have this go on for 75 minutes. This knife is gorgeous. This knife is gorgeous. And it is super cool. And it is super freaking comfortable. So, that's it. Get ready for part 2. This knife is just going to be really great. Croco Knives did an amazing job. And I know this was not their fault. Something just must have happened from the OK table to the print table. Something got jumbled. Doesn't bother me any. But I think it just adds a little something, especially once dbad Designs kicks off the way it looks like it's getting ready to kick off. I'm telling you, boys and girls, ooh, life is about to change. So looks like my pieces might end up going up in value, especially some of my originals. So that's really cool. This one, especially being numbered like this one, like my Menace, which you could still get on Croco Knives. Man, fan freaking tastic. Some badass steel right there. So I gotta say, that's it for this one. Ooh, let's go that way. We'll make that like one of the cover pictures or something. Oh, this thing is crazy cool. Totally stoked. That's it for now. Next one is to use it. I am Donnie B all day. Until next knife.